All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into this concept of the genreless mutt.
Yeah.
Um, you guys have been sending in some really interesting articles and notes about this whole online community,
hmm
and I gotta say, I'm kind of hooked already. It seems like um, a lot of you are really interested in exploring music without boundaries. You know,
Yeah.
defying those little genre boxes that we always try to put everything in. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And what's so fascinating about the genreless mutt is that it's not just some abstract idea, it's a real thriving community.
Oh wow.
It's actually a Facebook group, believe it or not, where people who think this way are coming together to celebrate their really eclectic musical tastes.
So it's kind of like a haven for, people like me whose playlists just jump from like Beethoven to Black Sabbath without even like blinking an eye.
Exactly.
Okay, that's my kind of crowd. But what's the big deal here? Like why is this whole idea catching on now?
Well, that's what makes it so fascinating. This whole genreless movement really speaks to a larger cultural shift that's happening right now. Think about it. Technology has given us access to practically every genre of music imaginable,
Hmm.
and globalization has exposed us to influences from all over the world. So it's only natural that the way we listen to music would evolve too.
So we're not just stuck with the same old categories anymore. We're becoming more like musical omnivores. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, yeah. And the genreless mutt community, they're right at the forefront of this evolution. They're challenging the traditional idea that music has to fit neatly into these predefined boxes, and they're embracing the fluidity and the interconnectedness of sound.
Okay, so I'm picturing this giant musical melting pot
Yeah.
with all these different styles bubbling up and blending together. But what does that actually look like in this community? What are people actually doing in this Facebook group
Well,
besides, geeking out over genre-bending tunes?
Well, imagine a space where people are constantly sharing those hidden musical gems, the ones they've unearthed, artists who just defy categorization, and songs that blend genres in a way you wouldn't expect. They're creating playlists that can make your head spin with their eclecticism, like a symphony orchestra jamming with a dubstep DJ.
Okay, now that's an image. But it's more than just quirky playlists, right? There's got to be some deeper conversations going on, some real music nerd debates.
Oh, absolutely. They're dissecting how genres evolve and influence each other. They're sharing personal stories about how certain songs or artists have impacted their lives, and they're even questioning the whole concept of labeling music in the first place. It's a space for genuine musical exploration and connection, unburdened by those constraints of traditional genre boundaries.
So it sounds like this community is not just about the music itself, but about a different way of thinking about music, like a more open-minded, adventurous approach.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's about embracing the mutt within all of us. That part that revels in the unexpected, that finds beauty in the fusion of seemingly different sounds.
It's like giving ourselves permission to just enjoy what we enjoy
Mm.
without worrying about whether it fits into a neat little box. But here's what I'm wondering. If this genreless movement is really gaining traction, could it actually start to influence the music industry itself?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, it's a possibility that has me pretty excited. If this genreless mindset really takes hold, it could have a ripple effect throughout the entire music industry. It could be a real game changer.
Yeah.
Like imagine record labels. Less concerned with trying to fit artists into these neat little genre boxes and more focused on just supporting unique voices regardless of labels.
Yeah, that would be so refreshing.
Wouldn't it? It
Totally.
would be amazing. Think about it. Instead of being pressured to conform to a specific sound, artists would have the freedom to experiment, to blend genres,
Yeah.
to create something truly innovative and authentic.
And I bet that would lead to some incredible music. Just think of the possibilities. But how about the way music is marketed and consumed? Would that change too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, streaming services, for example, they could move away from those algorithms that just reinforce our existing genre preferences. Instead, they could become more like those, savvy record store clerks from back in the day,
Yeah.
the ones who could recommend something amazing based on your unique tastes, even if it crossed genre lines.
I love that analogy. It's like instead of being stuck in our own musical echo chambers, we'd be constantly exposed to new sounds and artists
Yeah,
that we might never have discovered otherwise.
exactly.
It'd be like having a personal genreless mutt DJ, curating our listening experience.
Exactly. It's about embracing serendipity and the joy of musical discovery. And that's something that the genreless mutt community really gets. They're not afraid to venture outside of their comfort zones and see where the music takes them.
This whole conversation is making me wonder if maybe we've been thinking about genre labels all wrong. I mean, they can be helpful for finding music we already know we like. But when we let them become too rigid, they can really limit us.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's all about balance. Genres can provide a framework for understanding music, but they shouldn't become these like impenetrable walls that prevent us from exploring the vast and diverse musical landscape that exists in between.
So it's like genres can be a starting point,
Yeah.
but the real adventure begins when you start venturing beyond those boundaries
Yeah.
and see what you discover.
And that's where the magic happens. When you're open to these unexpected combinations and influences, you open yourself up to a world of musical possibilities. It's like those moments when you hear a song that completely defies categorization. And you're just like, wow, I've never heard anything like this before.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like your ears perk up, and you're instantly intrigued. You want to know more, to explore further.
That's the power of the genreless mutt philosophy. It's about cultivating that sense of curiosity and wonder, that willingness to let the music lead you on an unexpected journey.
It's like we're shedding those old restrictive labels and rediscovering the pure joy of listening to music with fresh ears. And honestly, I'm feeling pretty inspired right now.
Me too. It makes you realize that maybe there's a genreless mutt lurking inside all of us, just waiting to be unleashed.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Now that we've explored this idea of the genreless mutt, I'm curious to know what's resonating with you.
Well, it's about recognizing that you know your own musical tastes. They can be just as diverse and multifaceted as the music itself. You know, you might love listening to classical music while you're working out, or find yourself drawn to the energy of punk rock, even though you're like a diehard jazz fan.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine.
Exactly. There's no need to box yourself in, right? And the genreless mutt really gives you that framework for thinking about how you explore and discover new music. It's like a reminder that you don't have to limit yourself to just the familiar or stay within the confines of what you think you should like.
Yeah, it's about giving yourself permission to be curious, to experiment, to embrace the unexpected. And who knows, maybe in the process you'll discover a whole new side to your own musical identity.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on as you go about your day. Think about your own listening habits. Are there any unexpected genre combinations that you enjoy? What are those hidden gems on your playlist that make your friends raise an eyebrow?
And here's a challenge for you. Why not create your own genreless playlist? Choose songs from totally different genres that you wouldn't normally put together, and see what happens when you let those sounds collide. You might be surprised by the results. And you might even discover some new favorites along the way.
That's such a great idea. I'm going to give that a try myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of music without boundaries. Until next time, happy listening.